Hello all, welcome to Ambari Cloud YouTube channel. Today I will be reviewing about Iceberg catalogs. Okay, what is a catalog, right? And why we need it, and how we're going to configure, and what are the different type of catalogs I'm going to discuss in this demo. So the catalogs basically manages your metadata management, right? And your table location, and mostly it's metadata JSON, and then of course particularly easier to manage for large data sets, right? So that's why you need to build a catalog, right? And it's a structured way to store and retrieve information about tables. Okay. And decoupling storage and metadata. By separating data storage from metadata storage, catalogs allows more flexible and scalable data management. It's a common practice for a Hive to store the entire metadata in a catalog, data meta store. However, in Iceberg, some of this catalog information is stored on the disk, right? It's not fully stored on the meta store, whatever the database behind that catalog. But majority of the information is stored on the disk here, right? And then it's a common format, arrow, and then some of them are XML, so easy to migrate between clouds too. Okay. And it's easy to integrate with the existing system. Catalog facilitates integration with the existing data processing and analytical tools, enabling smoother workflows and better compatibility. Right? So front-end tools are not going to connect to the storage directly, right? Even if you have some other metadata on storage. So using with catalog, it's easy to query, and then all the analytical tools easy to manage, right? Okay. And since many users are using, right, disk-based catalog is difficult to manage consistency and atomicity, right? For example, Hadoop catalog, right? It's nice for testing, but it doesn't maintain consistency, atomicity, and of course parallelism and all the things, right? So, but we need, at the same time, we need a consistency, right? Because we don't want dirty reads, right? And so catalog ensures this consistency, atomicity operations through whenever we do create a table creation, modification, updates, deletes, right? And it maintains the data integrity. And easy of use, right? So it abstracts the complexity of the managing storage paths and metadata, allowing users focus on data analysis rather than data management logistics. What does that mean here? Let's say your data is in certain location. If you can move without changing the application code, because the catalog is managing the kind of an abstract layer between your table information, your disk, and all the stuff, right? So front-end tool does not have to be aware of the location path, external locations, because catalog does the abstraction for that. So before we dive into details of this catalog configuration, let's look at the Spark session property, which is a property which understands both Iceberg and non-Iceberg tables, and you can query it, Iceberg table, along with Hive table too. But if you want to inspect Iceberg table metadata, right, like in a kind of a history or snapshot, the entries, files, data files, you cannot use Spark session. You have to use a Spark catalog. But to create in a Hive tables, Hive database, we're going to use Spark session based catalog. So here the catalog name is Spark catalog. It can be anything, and then it points using this Spark session library. Then the catalog type can be Hive or Hadoop, but Hive in production you have to use Hive. Make sure that because it allows consistency and then all ACID features. But Hadoop for testing, because it's a disk based, right? Okay. So the Spark catalog, it probably understands full-fledged Iceberg table, right? It can query Iceberg table, create, delete, of course, inserts, and also metadata management, right? And as I said, right, it understands the ACID rules. So here the catalog name is Iceberg catalog, but it can be my catalog, your catalog, or product catalog, or anything, right? So name can be anything here, the Iceberg name, but now it's using this Spark catalog library. Now the catalog type, it can be Hive database, right? Hive Metastore or Hadoop, but of course, Hadoop, as I said, Hadoop is meant for mostly the testing, or it can be Glue, right? We can discuss about Glue, and Glue is, the Hive version of it. Okay. So remember this, full-fledged Iceberg tables are managed through Spark Catalog. Okay. Let's review various catalogs. So Hive catalog, which integrates with the Hive Metastore, and it uses Hive Metastore to store location of recent metadata JSON about Iceberg table. So the Hive catalog manages here only, again, in Iceberg domain, the catalogs manages the most recent metadata JSON information in the database. Rest is on the disk. Okay. So why we use Hive? Because you already have a CDP, Cloud Data CDP or EMR, maybe Databricks. Then they already use the Hive catalog. So since you're already using it, then you can also use for Iceberg, right? So you can have a combined ecosystem. Okay. So let's look at when you start using PySpark, right? I will walk through here, right? So if you look at here, these are libraries, standard packages, right? And here I'm using 1.3%, again, depends on. And then here, the Spark session extension here, this is my Hive, right? So whenever I want to create a Hive table, I'm going to use this catalog, okay? Now, if you look at is, the database location of the Hive, thrift store, right? And so again, I'm using a local machine. But if you're in production, then definitely you have to understand, we have to get the actual name of your host. Now look at for the Iceberg catalog. Here, the catalog name is Iceberg, right? And if I'm using the Spark catalog, then again, same database, same Hive database. And then catalog type is again Hive. And then, I want to set up a default location for my warehouse, right? Of course, when you create a table, you can override this, right? So remember this, whenever you want to create a Hive catalog for either for EMR or CDP, you have to follow this format. Now watch this version, right? So based on your environment, CDP or EMR, make sure that you get a proper versions. So again, this is to read Hive tables. So generally what I follow is all my projects I use for Hive, this is Spark catalog. Then for all my Iceberg, I use Iceberg. So in my Spark code, make sure that then you are separated in our code, and it's easy to debug. Okay, this is about Hive table. Okay, so now let's look at Hadoop cluster. Let's say you want to test in your Iceberg table in HDFS or in Amazon S3, and then you have not decided the catalog, whether it's a Glue or a Hive or REST or Snowflake or maybe Databricks and whichever, or maybe Xtable conversion, and you're still in the testing mode, and so you can use Hadoop as a catalog, right? Easy to use, since you don't have a database yet, so then you go with it. It's almost exactly looks same, but as I said, it's good for testing and all that stuff. Okay, so now look at here, right? Exactly same configuration what we saw in Hive. Instead of Hive, we're going to just do Hadoop, and there is no the location of the URL of because there is no data. But here you're going to provide the location where you want. Again, this is the default, but you can overwrite when you're creating the tables, right? But if you don't give the location, it's going to follow this default location. So here again, my catalog name here is Iceberg catalog. Previously I have a Iceberg, but you can call it. So as I said, this catalog names has no meaning. I mean, it can be any name, but you're going to use the same name in part of your session. Again, it's part of your Spark session. Okay. So again, look at this one. I'm here in this example. I'm using 1.5 version, right? Previously 1.3. So watch on those your jar files configuration. Make sure. Then another thing is extensions here, right? Now the SQL extension, we need to make sure you submit Iceberg Spark session extension. So here the Spark specific Spark jar, Spark SQL. Then again, what is my catalog? Now look at here in this example, I have two catalogs, one for Hive and another for Iceberg. So in the same session, I have two catalogs, right?
Because if I want to read from a Spark, I want to read a Hive tables, then yes, the same Spark I can use. Of course, I can use the Spark catalog as a prefix, right, as a namespace. Okay, so this is how Hadoop catalog. Again, same Hive and Hadoop configuration exactly same. Only difference is here you have a Hive, and then you have to give the location of your thrift store. Okay. So now let's get into Glue. So when you are in EMR or AWS, you can use Hive, but instead, more often we use Glue Metastore to save the catalog. So the advantage of the Glue is kind of a centralized version AWS, right? And then many other tools can connect to Glue, easy to manage, kind of a service, right? And so Snowflake can connect to Glue, or database can connect to Glue, right? And EMR, and there are many advantages. Okay, so to establish Glue catalog from your Spark session, you need to make sure you need to set up your credentials, right? Access key, security key, and then in your credential in .AWS directory. Then you need to export the profile. Okay, so my profile here, Ambari AWS. Yeah, then you have a small typo here instead of Satya. You should Ambari AWS. So you need to export the profile. So with that, you don't have to give explicitly the values here, but you can also give it. Now let's look at another important. Since we are connecting to AWS, we need to provide AWS libraries here. Look at this one, AWS Hadoop AWS library. Then this is standard Spark runtime, but here I'm using 1.43. So I'm using one of the clients where we are using 1.30, 1.50. Now here 1.4. Then you have to use AWS bundle, AWS client, these libraries, and make sure when you are using these libraries they're not compatible. Right. So when you go to Maven, and then you will get this information, right? Or go to AWS, then what is the combination of bundles, right? But yeah, this is Iceberg version, right? And make sure these bundles, AWS SDK bundle. So those are your jar files, right? And again, rest is same, right? Again, still we are using Spark SQL extension. Right. Then here, if you look at here, I don't have a Hive catalog. Everything is, Glue, and which is we are using Glue as a database. Then we are using a Spark catalog. So one configuration. You can also have a Hive if you have a Hive tables in the Glue. But in this example, we are using this Glue only for Iceberg. Right. Now here I'm using the word Glue. Catalog name is Glue. It can be prod Glue, your Glue, whatever name. Right. Then again, what is the location of the path here, my bucket name. Then since you are using Glue, you need to define your catalog implementation library and IO implementation. These are required, right? So this is AWS Iceberg, and then this is for Glue catalog, right? If you are using Delta, for example, then you have this Delta catalog, right? So this library will know that you are using how to write into Glue database, okay, or Glue catalog. And I have discussed the same thing in one of the YouTube video about Xtable migration from Iceberg to Xtable Delta, right? So I also discussed about this same library. So once you have in Glue, for example, you want to convert Glue based Iceberg table to Delta, then you should use these libraries. Okay, remember that. So very simple, set up your credentials in .aws directory, and this is our Spark session here. But here I'm just using only Glue, Glue based on Iceberg. But if you want to have a Hive tables in Glue, then yeah, you need to set up the Hive type in the Glue. Okay. Now the industry is moving towards REST catalog, right? Because it's going to make things are very simpler, right? Easy to migrate. Migration makes very easy. Now let me walk through. Okay, this allows a single client to communicate with any catalog backend, right? So the rest is basically a common URL API, and then backend can be anything. And so it allows you create a custom catalogs and works with any engine because you're calling it REST API, right? So front end, backend can be Glue, backend can be Hive, or it can be Snowflake or anything. But front end, you can just REST API, right? So the implementation of catalog is make it easy. So yes, because if you look at because of REST, right? The same REST API can be called Java or Python, and any engine, right? So it's easy to implement. Compatibility, right? And then migration between any cloud to cloud is easy because of single implementation, right? Then most important today, when you want to do metadata upgrades, right? Then we will have issues, right? Particularly on the client side. But with REST, right, it's easy to upgrade a metadata version because the API will take care for the client side. It doesn't know anything, but because the server side will give all the information to the API. Okay, right? The server side deconfliction, right? The is a change based commits to enable server side and retries, right? What does that mean is the when eventually, right, like a Polaris or Unity catalog, many engines are working. It allows you prevent multi updates, right? So that the server side deconfliction, right? So allows and then allows the retries, right? Remember the word deconfliction, right? And then as because of catalog, right? Then also we don't have to specify the storage credentials. So today we provide a storage credentials like AWS. When you go to client REST, right? As long as you have access, and then all the credentials are managed through the server side, right? So the front end doesn't have to provide the credentials, right? Okay. Languages agnostic, of course, we all know that REST API can work with any languages, right? And incremental updates. It allows you database update changes, table metadata be managed to a database instead of the file system, right? So if you look at here, if this is a catalog, right? Then this is Iceberg table, and then behind it can be any storage. Now look at any engine, right? And these engines have different languages, right? You're gonna use REST API. Now, when you update this one, or you change the storage, right? This is abstracted. This is how the REST catalog works. Okay. So what are the more catalogs coming in? But now Nessie has a REST catalog. Polaris coming from Snowflake. Unity catalog is there, but open source Unity catalog is not ready yet. Okay, what is Nessie? Nessie catalog is is a new approach introduced for Iceberg project Nessie, right? It allows you. It's kind of a Git allow model. You can do branching, tagging, merging. Now you say, okay, Iceberg has also branching and tagging, right? But Iceberg works on a single table. But Nessie, you can do the branching on the entire database or multiple tables, something like that, right? And you can branch the entire database, you tag the entire, right? And then it's easy to match database sets. So it is an advanced Git-like catalog compared to that feature is not there in other catalogs. But Iceberg has a branching, but it's on a single table. Okay. So Nessie catalog, again, as I said, right, the branching, tagging, and merging of data sets, metadata effectively. And so what is the branching? Look at another video I updated. Zero copy cloning, then for development and testing, and then you can tag it for GDPR rules or history, any auditing. You can tag a branch or whenever you upload the data. Okay. Nessie supports REST API, right? this makes it easy to integrate with the various data processing frameworks and tools, right? So I can use Nessie catalog in Spark and then any other engines, PySpark, right? Using Nessie as a catalog. So there's open source available, and the Nessie is managed by Dreamio guys. Okay. Again, this API supports through API also you can do branching. You can list metadata and then different features of the Nessie. So in upcoming video upload more details about Nessie catalog, how to implement branching, all the stuff. Okay. So if you look at here, right, the here Nessie, then you need to use again like glue, right? You need to make sure Nessie catalog implementation, right? And then you have to use some of the jar files belongs to Nessie. Then where is your here? If you look at this is my Nessie URL. I was using local Docker based, right? And then what is the branch? Of course, default is then you can build your authentication types, right? But yeah, here since I'm running testing on it, so more details about authentication, check on the Dreamio Nessie website. Okay. So here I can have my Spark connect to a branch if the branch is a branch 1 or branch 2, or I can connect to main. Because if somebody create a branch for me and I want to connect that branch, I can connect directly to the branch, right? Using this, reference here, whatever. Then of course, this is a location of your, now if you're using a Nessie and cloud through Dreamio, yeah, then you can get your API key, authentication key, and then you are. Now here, look at these extensions. What's this one here? You have a Spark extension, then you need a Nessie extension. Why? Because the Nessie has, as I said, more branching features as compared to Iceberg. Right? So you need to add this one. Then of course we are using a Nessie catalog. So there is a tool called Gravitino. They built a REST catalog, and now Polaris coming and they are also building REST catalog. This is getting popular lately. So go to their website and understand about the Gravitino. So again, if you look at here, standard, then I'm running their server. Then look at running at 9001. Then it's a REST catalog. Look at this one. This is my catalog name is REST. I can call satya.type or my Iceberg, but the catalog type is. So if you look at this one here, right? We are instead of a Hive or Hadoop or Glue, right? And we are using a REST. And then then whatever configuration we do on the server, REST server, right? All authentication, directory location, directory setup, everything when you start the your REST server, right? So everything is abstracted. Okay. To understand the Snowflake catalog, check it on this their website. Then one of the video I explained about Iceberg catalog. So Unity catalog still in infant state. Just check it out. It's not ready for to discuss. Polaris coming. We don't know when they're releasing. It's maybe another 2 months. This is coming from Snowflake. But again, this Snowflake catalog is current, but in the future they will going to use the Polaris. Okay. Just FYI, let's say you want to use Delta table. Let's say you have a Delta running, Databricks running, or you're using a Delta tables using X table conversion. Let's say you want to read a Delta table directly from your Spark session. Yes, here, right? You can okay. Oops. So here again, we're gonna use our Delta library. Everything is similar, right? Again, since I'm reading my Delta table, right? Delta catalog. So we saw Nessie catalog, Delta catalog, Glue catalog, right? So this is very important. Then here, since we are not reading Iceberg from this guy, so this is a Delta extension, right? Now, This can be Hive. My delta table metadata is in Hive. Yeah, you can use Hive here. Okay. And then, yeah, I just put we don't need access keys and all that stuff. Okay. However, you can combine all in one session, right? So now if you look at here, then my Delta, then my AWS, my Spark, right? And then my AWS, right? So I combine everything here. And then now if you look at here, this is my Spark catalog. So in prod, we're going to use Hive. Then this is my Iceberg catalog, right? Let's say I have a Hive or I want to use Hadoop. Then this is my glue catalog, right? There is again, organization using all combinations. One department has a glue, another department Hive, another department using Hadoop for testing, and then, then other department using Delta. You can do that. You can also read all these kind of combinations, right? These access keys are very old, so it won't work. So if you look at here, right, then the delta I can use. So now in one Spark, right, I have a Hive. And now look at this extension, right? I have a Spark extension, Delta extension. So I'm not using Nessie here. This you don't need. Yeah, you can also add Nessie if you have a Nessie too. Right? I don't want to complicate it, too confuse. So here Iceberg. So that means this Spark I can read the Delta, then glue, right? Iceberg glue, and then Hive, right? Then what else? Then it can also be glue Hive, right? So you can try various combinations. Again, this is just for fun purpose, but generally I would not recommend this way. However, let's say you have a federated catalogs, right? And then you want to read data from different catalogs and combine into one data source. Yeah, then you need to set up this catalog configuration like this. Okay. Let's get into some demo. Okay. So let's look at, right? So as I said, right, I'm using a notebook, right? So set up your Spark on your bash file. Then I'm using a Jupyter. So whenever I start PySpark, automatically, whenever I start a Jupyter notebook, automatically it will start my session, right? Okay, so let's run. Okay, so here I want to get the latest metadata JSON file from my Iceberg. Okay, so look at, these are my libraries, right? And these are my extensions. Okay, now as all in one, as I said here, this is my Spark catalog, my Iceberg catalog, and then this is my and then my Delta table, and I put my access, right? So let's run my Spark session. Okay. And look at all my libraries here, right? Just make sure that it is right. So now I'm going to create a just I want to show that, right? And I'm going to create a glue database. Okay. So glue prod, my catalog name is glue, but by the way, as I said, right, the catalog name can be prod glue or XYZ, ABC, whatever. Right? Then let's create, if there is a table is there, drop it, right? And then I'm going to create a table. Okay, I'm going to insert, and I'm going to query it, and then I'm going to verify location of the table. Okay, so where is my table is created? My bucket and ProdDB and others. Now I'm going to use Iceberg catalog, which is based on Hadoop, right? If you look at here, Iceberg catalog, right, and Hadoop based. So on the disk, I want to read the glue table, right? Let's assume I don't have a let's assume, right, I don't have access to Glue, for example. I want to read directly. Instead of going to Glue database, I want to read. So what I'm going to do is, okay, give me the latest metadata JSON for my orders table. I'm going to register locally, right? I'm going to register and I'm going to read it through Iceberg, right? The Spark Iceberg, right, now is going to read my table because I already have a Iceberg libraries. Okay, now I'm going to convert the table, right? Let's go to copy this, right? Let's go to this directory here. So I already showed this feature in other Xtable conversion, right? I'm going to convert into Xtable. So Delta table, I'm going to converting ICE to Delta here, ICE to Delta. Okay, it's running. Let's check the look. Okay, so it's creating Delta table, right? Okay, so still running. Okay, let's wait for running. And okay, so it's completed. What we'll do is I'm going to read through Delta, Spark Delta, right? Show table. Now I'm able to read my Delta table, right? Now let's say I want to create a Hive table, right? And then I'm going to use a Hive Spark, right? And now this is my DB2 database. Then I'm going to create insert data. Then now I have my Hive table. Now let's describe this table. Okay, so this is located in DB2 orders Hive table. So on the same Spark session, I'm able to create a Glue table, read through from Spark, then I create a Delta table, read through Delta library, right? And then I create a Hive table. So, this is how you build your one Spark for reading variety of table formats. Once you do that, right, how to convert Hive to Iceberg table, check on the YouTube videos, how to rewrite after migration, how to rewrite, and after migration, how to do snapshot, learn about it. Definitely, these are important features you should learn about Iceberg table. So coming back again, one session you can read Delta table, you can read Iceberg table in Glue, you can read an Iceberg table in Hive, or you can read in a Hive table. Then you can combine all these data frames into one table. So if your organization has different catalogs and federated catalogs, then you can do that. Okay. So any questions? Reach out to me, and thanks for listening. Thank you. Bye now.